Welcome, everybody. And I must say how nice it is to see some people in the gallery this evening. After 2 years of not being able to have anybody in the gallery, quite a few meetings on Zoom. We just see faces. It's actually nice to be back and have everybody in the chamber. And probably not enough people in the gallery, but you're a good start. So congratulations for being here on our first night back. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. The Central Coast Council acknowledges the Palawa Pakamā people as the traditional custodians of Ratuita, Tasmania, including the land, community, sea and waters where we live and work. Our community respectfully acknowledges the Punalapana tribe of the Northern Country of Tasmania, their continuing relationship to this land and their ongoing living culture. We recognise that we have much to learn from the First Nations people who represent one of the world's oldest continuing cultures, and we pay our respects to elders past and present and to all First Nations people living in and around the Central Coast community. And now our prayer. May the words of our lips and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. We have an apology from Councillor Carpenter this evening. So now we move on to 1.1, the confirmation of the minutes. Can I have somebody move that they be confirmed? Please, Councillor Viney, and second, Councillor Hiskett. Any queries on those minutes? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 2.1 is council workshops. There's a list there. Can I have somebody move that report be received, please?
So moved, Ben.
Thanks, Councillor Beswick. Seconded, Councillor Overton. Any queries, comments on those workshops? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 3.1 is Mayor's communications. I have none. 3.2 is the Mayor's diary. There's a list there. Can I have somebody move that report be received, please? Thanks, Councillor Diprose, and second, Councillor Fuller. The only one I would like to comment there on is the International Women's Day, the Penguins Quiet Achiever Award, which I've had the pleasure of presenting in Penguin, and it went to Mrs. G, who got such a shock to when I called her name, and she said to me, "Where on earth did you get all of that information?" But it was really lovely. She was so thrilled, and it was nice. There was a big crowd there, so it was a lovely thing to attend. If there's no questions on any of those items, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 3.3 is declarations of interest. Anybody wishing to declare an interest? No. 4.1 is councillor reports. Councillors who have been appointed by the council to the community and other organisations would like to report. Councillor Hiskett.
Just a quick note, St. Circus continue on well. They have their AGM at 6:30 tomorrow night at the Apex, that was called, sorry, yes, on Golden Street.
Apex House.
Apex House, sorry. So yes, that will be interesting to see the nominated members going forward, and wishing them continued success into next year as well.
No other reports? Thank you. 5.1 is leave of absence. There are no applications. 6.1 is deputations, and there are none. 7.1 is petitions. We've had no petitions. And 8.1 is councillor questions without notice. So, Councillor Van Rangen, do you have any
Yes,
questions?
Mayor, I have a question of the General Manager, if I may.
In open?
In open, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Beswick?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Diprose?
No, Mayor.
Councillor Viney?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Overton?
No, Mayor.
Councillor Fuller?
I want for the General Manager in open, please, Mayor.
Councillor Hiskett?
No, thank you, Mayor.
And Councillor Carpenter's an apology, and none from myself. 9.2 is councillor questions on notice, and no questions have been received. 9.1 is public question time, and we'll have public question time at 6:40. As true as possible. 9.2 is public questions taken on notice, and no public questions were taken on notice from the 21st of February meeting. Move on to 10.1, the minutes and notes of committees of the council and other organisations. Can I have somebody move that be received?
Move me.
Thanks. Councillor Dixon, second. Councillor Viney. Any queries on those minutes? I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried.
Mayor, I was about to just ask a question, or just,
Oh, sorry.
you're right, just went quickly. I did note in there about the, in the safety partnership that the police feel that they're looking after our area in a timely manner. Considering the comments from around the table at workshops and so forth, and from others, I probably do question that. I was a bit disappointed with that response. Having witnessed myself some, I suppose you call it hooning, cars racing around and so forth, I think we need to perhaps, through that group, and I would encourage you to see if they can get some local evening full-time policing in our Central Coast District, because I had a phone call from another resident the other day. They were talking about the new pathway going along from the Buttons Creek Caravan Park to the end of the cycle path there. As he said, he sees quite often people going quite fast along the other section of road, and encourages us to deal with that section as soon as possible as well. As he said, I don't want to end up having to witness children or whatever getting caught up with perhaps a car that loses control and so forth. So as much as I acknowledge the police comments in that group, I would still encourage a bit more if we can.
We've brought that subject up on 2 occasions, one in this meeting and one with our meeting with Inspector Anthea Mango today. Sandra and myself had a meeting with her. She's the commander of Central West, which is Central Coast, and the West Coast, which are in one division. We talked about that very issue, and it's not likely that Ulverston will become a 24-hour police station, but she did talk about some instances when Devonport usually do a drive over and sort of keep a bit of an eye out, where they've been able to respond at times very, very quickly because they've been here, and likewise Burnie do Penguin as well. So we have talked about it. We'll continue to keep pushing it, as you say, but they are very stretched.
Yeah, it's perhaps something we need to follow up with our politicians perhaps as well. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. We moved that, didn't we? We finished that.
I was a
To
bit
go back to where I was. Thank you. Move on to 10.2, the Central Coast Elected Members Professional Development Policy. There's a policy there. Going to have somebody move that. Thanks, Councillor Hiscott, and seconded Councillor Overton. Councillor Hiscott, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor. Only briefly, just to say that I think professional development is a necessary course. I think we as elected members are only here by the grace of the electors, and not necessarily having all the skills may not be required. So professional development is a way for the skills to be gained on the job and to perform our function as elected members much better. So much better, that's terrible English. I obviously need some professional development in public speaking. So I would commend that we continue to do this, and it's good that the council supports professional development amongst the councillors. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor Overton.
Yes, Mayor. I concur with what Councillor Hiscott has said, and we can always all do with more professional development, with no matter what we're in. So yeah, I fully support it.
Thank you. Other speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.3 is the common seal. It's schedule there. Was there an updated? Yes, there's an updated schedule beside you. Can I have somebody move that they receive? Please? Thanks, councillor Barney. Seconded, please, councillor Dick Rose. Any queries on those items on the common seal? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 10.4 is contracts and agreements. I think you might have an updated schedule there as well. Can I have somebody move?
So moved, Mayor.
Thanks, councillor Beswick. Seconded, please. Thanks, councillor Fuller. Any queries on those items?
I suppose, Mayor, just to speak, it's good to see those two contracts for some building works to get those couple of jobs tidied up, one being the Ryana Community Centre change room and the finishing off of the Sports and Leisure Centre. So it'll be great to see those get finished and for the community to be able to get some good benefit out of that.
Thank you. Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to the Central Coast Council and the Alderson Repertory Theatre Society Incorporated, just wondering about the dates there, please. We're working backwards. It expires on the 31st of July this year. Started 1st of August 2020. Is that an error or where are we at with that, please?
I'll have to take that on notice, please.
Thank you.
Report. Thank you.
All right, no other speakers. I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. Is that the end of general management? We've got two questions for the general manager, one from councillor Van Ryn.
Thank you, Mayor. Sandra, my question relates to the email that Caroline and Chris Kataris have sent to all the councillors and including and also yourself regarding the history of the problems with his adjoining landowner. And I was wondering whether you could supply us with the details of the compliance inspections that has been claimed to have been carried out. I would like to have the dates, the observations, and the signing off on the conditions imposed by the planning tribunal. And I'd ask the question, what action is being planned? This has gone on for a long time, as was stated in Chris's email, been going on for 7 years, and it's high time that this was dealt with. And this is part of the way.
Yes, I can do that. We are happily putting some of that together.
Okay.
Yeah, including going back to the previous one, 2014, and looking at whether that complied with all that if it's not in the new one.
Right. So we'd like you to get that information reasonably soon.
Well, I'd hope so. As I said, we've had shortage of staff, so we're doing our best to get to it. I'd hope by next week on that one, we should be able to give you that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. General Manager, in relation to the community benefit framework under development for Tas Networks, councillors will remember as we've had conversations in past years about the work being done by Tas Networks through the municipality, that we heard then about the development of a community benefits framework where some of the funds and revenue that is generated by that work will be returned to our community, and you'd be aware of some community groups in Central Coast who are very keen to hear about that. To that end, Tas Networks have formed their youth panel, which has been advertised for some time, and I understand that their first meeting of that panel is next week, which is really pleasing. The question being, have we heard from Tas Networks about how local government will be involved in the development of the community benefits framework, please?
No, we haven't actually. Your ears must have been burning, Councillor Fuller, because last week in the senior leadership team, I actually said I need to write to them because we had a action that we haven't heard, and said that we need to write to them or ring them up in the next week to find out what is happening.
They weren't burning, but thank you. Thank you. While it's not in the minutes, you all have a schedule of correspondence received. At the time when the minutes went out, there wasn't any correspondence that had been received. We've since received one. Have that in front of you. Can I have somebody move that be received, please? Thanks, Councillor Fuller, and the seconder, please, Councillor Overton. Any queries on that correspondence? I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Move on to community services, 10.5, development application determinations. There's a schedule of determinations there. Can I have somebody move that be received, please? Thanks, Councillor DeFrose. The seconder, please. Councillor Fuller, thank you. Any queries on those determinations? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.6 is council acting as a planning authority. Can I have somebody move that be received, please?
I move there.
Thanks, Councillor Beswick, seconded Councillor Hiskett. I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 10.7 is an item that it needs to be withdrawn, and I'll just ask the council agrees to withdraw the report regarding 23 Esplanade, my Turner's Beach. I came to the last council meeting. Can I have since the February 22 meeting, further legal and land use planning advice was sought, and council are advised that this report has been withdrawn from the decision. So could I have somebody move, and the seconder, please?
Move, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor DeFrose, and the seconder, Councillor Overton. The motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.8 was a business and professional services, equine and small animal veterinary clinic, food services, cafe, community meeting and entertainment, community meeting rooms, general retail and hire, pardon me, sale of goods associated with veterinary clinic and primary produce products only, and resource development, animal husbandry. Requirements for discretionary non-residential uses to be located on rural resource land at 901 Forth Road, Turners Beach. There's a full report there. Can I have somebody move the suggested resolution?
Yes, so Mayor, move. So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And I think that was a second from you, Councillor Fuller. Thank you. Councillor Van Roon, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm very pleased to see a development like this coming to the area. I've been out and visited the site, although I have not spoken to the proponents because we have been away, but I've been out and had a look at the site, and it's certainly a good use for that land. While the land is zoned rural resource, I think that a business such as this fits in well with the surrounding areas, and I'm just absolutely amazed by the scale of the building that's going on there. It's going to be big, and it'll service the whole northwest coast in certain areas. And so, I'm pleased to recommend council's approval for this, and I look forward to seeing it completed.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Barney.
Yes, I'd just like to echo the thoughts of Councillor Van Roon. I think it's a very good use of the land out there where it is, and I'd also like to commend the planners on the words that they've put together in in relation to this application, and like I said, I will be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Mayor. Likewise echo the other sentiments, and thank the planners for their report, which leaves me reassured that there's no planning issues in relation to the development. I was very pleased to meet with the owners and representation of the architecture firm on Saturday, and welcome them in the gallery tonight. That's great that there's that level of interest. What a visionary statement building, and I'm particularly interested, just in the vision of it, of being able to service the North West Coast community for domestic animals, but obviously also I'm particularly interested in the equine servicing, and the vision that might include going forward, how they can help us all care for the wildlife of the North West Coast, and the fact that there's recognition of some of the passions and skills of the staff that work there, and so being able to wrap that up into a business proposal. A significant investment in the Central Coast, $1.4 million, is a significant investment of faith, and it's a great investment and a great reflection on our location and a great use of the land, as Councillor Van Roon has said. So commend the report.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Van Roon, would you like to close?
Well, Mayor, it has been mentioned, the report that we received from the planning department on this, but also I would like to just make mention of the quality of the external reports that have been done on this proposal from the various consultants, and it takes a lot of reading, there's no doubt about that, but there is a lot of stuff in there, and they've certainly done their homework. They've done their research, and I guess that makes it a lot easier when it gets to the planning, our planning department. So.
All right, thank you. You may put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. The next one is 10.9, and this application has been withdrawn. So we move on to 10.10, which is educational. Thank you very much for your attendance. Educational and occasional care, school car park and bicycle parking and pedestrian pathway and subdivision at 45A and 47 Leylands Avenue, Ulverston. Can I have somebody move? Thank you, Councillor Hiscott.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the motion with an amendment to condition 6. I may read that amendment.
Yes, please.
Condition 6 will now read: vegetation plan must be submitted to the approval by the General Manager, detailing the height, type and spacing of vegetation that must be planted along the eastern side of the new pathway to provide a buffer from the car park area to 49 Leylands Avenue. The vegetation plan must be implemented prior to the commencement of use.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder to that amendment? Thank you very much. Not to the amendment, but to the motion. The motion with that slight change. Councillor Fuller, thank you. Councillor Hiscott, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank the school or the developer for continued investment within the community. It's good to see that they require additional parking, as they're obviously expanding and need the space for more students to be accommodated within that space. I understand a school works within a community, and they need to also work with the community providing essentially an after hours surveillance for the school. If anything was to go down there, they need to work in consideration with each other, and I'm sure that they do. We've been asked to judge this in relation to the character of the area, which is where our discretion lies. And there's a lot of talking here about unreasonable loss of amenity and those sort of words, which are obviously is why we have discretion, because of those types of wording within the plan. this amendment that I've raised is to address the unspecific nature of the current condition that was placed that didn't specify what sort of vegetation. This will hopefully give the representatives some level of assurity that we will work with the developer to ensure that what is placed on that boundary is sufficient and satisfies both the school's needs as well as the community's needs in that area. And I think on that there's good room in relation to the character of the area for the council to ask, although not condition that the school, the developer can soften the approach to the car park as well, to keep it slightly more in character with the rest of the car park, not the streetscape, to keep it more in character with the rest of that street as well. One last point to make was in relation to lighting. I just want to note that the hours of operation for the lighting is included within the developer, which I understand from council staff means that if there is any issue with that, we can hold that to account if that is taken, try to take leeway to use that outside of those hours. We have room within it being included in the current plan, those hours, that we don't need to specify a condition for that. But other than that, isn't it good to see continued expansion of that area, and I commend the motion.
Any other speakers? Councillor Beeswick.
It's fair. I'm happy to support the amended motion. It's, as Councillor Hiskett said, it's good to see the expansion going on out there. I had the school over the many years, and having driven down that area when people are dropping the children off to and from school, it is very busy. So I can only see this being helping the flow through of traffic and everything at those busy times. So I commend the school for taking the action that they have. I do note some of the comments about that we're actually losing our house when there's a shortage of housing at the time. But over the years, the school has been allowed to be developed, and it's good that they're taking the initiative to try and help do something about that. So commend them, and I'll be supporting the amended motion.
Any other speakers? Councillor Viney.
Yes, I too will be supporting the amended motion, and although I would think that the school would have addressed the vegetation plan, it's good to actually have it in the motion so that they do have to address the vegetation plan. I think that actually tightens the motion as such. And I'd like to thank Councillor Hiskett for the addition.
Any other speakers? Councillor Hiskett, would you like to close?
Thank you. Just briefly there, that, as I said, the school works in conjunction with the community. They work together, and I hope that the developers and the representatives may be able to get together and discuss those issues that have been raised by the representatives. I think that is the appropriate space for those concerns to be raised, and I'm sure they'll be listened to on both sides. So thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Move on to 10.11, infrastructure service determinations, and there are no matters there. Corporate services, 10.12 is statutory determinations. There's a schedule there. Can I have somebody move that be received, please? It's Councillor Fuller, second of Councillor Viney. Any queries on those determinations? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.13 is public interest disclosure procedures. There's a report there. Can I have somebody move that be received? Sorry, Councillor Fuller. And second to Councillor Hiskett. Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to say that I welcome the opportunities for there to be consistency in such matters, both across state and local government. There are shared responsibilities for public expenditure and taking care of our staff and looking after our communities. the state, local no different than the state. So, you know, that seems that it's not too onerous, and it seems that it's clear, and I also observe that it's consistent with how the general manager and the senior leadership team would want to be managing the organisation. So, welcome the formalisation of this process.
Any other speakers? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. That brings us to the end of the public section of the meeting, except for public question time, which is normally at 6:40. But we will have a little earlier. Well, we've received some questions. And those to be answered first.
Yes, Mayor, we have 8 questions. I'll start with the first one, first 2, which are from Jamie Smith at Leith. So the first question was, my question on 21st of February 2022 included, given the facts of this crash, the statement by the council appears incorrect/false. The Department of State Growth crash statistics, which the council has already accessed to record the crash severity of the crash on 29th of 11th 2015 as minor. Thus, my question was simply, will the Mayor and Council now immediately write to the current Minister for Infrastructure advising the Council letter dated 14th of December 2015 to the Minister for Infrastructure incorrectly or falsely stating, since the meeting we have experienced another serious accident at one of the intersections, and Department of State Growth crash statistics record this crash severity as minor. And the Council's response was, the General Manager advised that in regard to the correspondence dated 14th of December 2015, the Council did not access the crash survey data you referred to. An argument that we made statements that were incorrect or false is disputed. What is serious is a matter of context at that time. Through the Leith intersection process, over the past 8 or so years, the Department of State Growth had made their decision based on a number of information sources and not purely on correspondence from the Central Coast Council. My question was not about Department of State Growth decisions, but about the accuracy of the Council letter dated 14th of December 2015 to the Minister for Infrastructure with regard to the severity of the crash being stated as serious, whilst Department of State Growth crash statistics clearly record the crash severity as minor. Will the Mayor and Council now immediately rewrite to the current Minister for Infrastructure advising the Council letter dated 14th of December 2015 to the Minister for Infrastructure stated, since the meeting we have experienced another serious accident at one of the intersections, and Department of State Growth crash statistics record this crash severity as minor. Also, subsequent to the Council letter dated 14th of December 2015 to the Minister for Infrastructure, did the Minister for Infrastructure or any other person or organisation contact the Council to advise the crash statistic record, the crash statistics record the crash is minor, or query the Council's statement the crash was serious? And if so, on what date or dates? The response to that is, as previously stated at public question time on the 21st of February 2022, the General Manager advised that in regard to the correspondence dated 14th of December 2015, the Council did not access the crash survey data you referred to. An argument that we made statements that were incorrect or false is disputed. What is serious is a matter of context at the time. Therefore, no further correspondence relating to the letter dated the 14th of December 2015 will be made. Question 2 from Jamie Smith is, on 21st of February 2022, I asked, was it the council, mayor, a councillor, a council employee, or a member of the state government or their staff who first mentioned or suggested an overpass as a possible solution? And the council's response was, the general manager advised that after some 7 to 8 years, it is unknown who first mentioned or suggested an overpass, as the construction of an overpass is an expensive cost and ongoing project. What records did the mayor and general manager maintain as to who first mentioned or suggested an overpass, and if there are no records, why not? So the response is the same as last month. As previously stated, a public question time on the 21st of February 2022, the General Manager advised that after some 7 to 8 years, it is unknown who first mentioned or suggested an overpass. Now I've got the next 4 questions which I intend to read out straight after each other before we respond. So the first 2 questions are from Mr. Tony Downey, and the next 2 are from Mr. and Mrs. Berman, will be read out prior to response being provided. Question 1 is, emails from the council on 21st of September 2021 to me unequivocally state what is occurring is repeated denigration and blaming. It does not state in the council's opinion what is occurring is repeated denigration and blaming. I reject I have engaged in repeated denigration and blaming. I have required the council to provide copies of all evidence, information, documents, notes, and anything else that evidence attacks on the council and council staff and repeated denigration and blaming of the council by Tony Downey. By letter dated 19th of November 2021, the council stated, sorry, I'm getting the pages mixed up now. To paraphrase your letter, you have asked us, the council, to determine whether contentions raised in the earlier letters are supported by facts. The response is that these contentions were intended to be and are expressions of opinion. I do not consider opinions are fact or evidence. My question on 21st of February 2022 asks, what are the dates and types of all correspondence the council received from Tony Downey, and what are the precise words used in each correspondence which accuses the council of doing things which it has not done, and what are the dates and types of all correspondence the council received from Tony Downey, and what are the precise words used in each correspondence which are repeated denigration and blaming. The council letter dated the 25th of February 2022 states the following documents are identified in response to my question on 21st of February 2022. 14th of 9th 21, email of the 15th of the 9th and 10th of July 2021. 3-page letter. It appears possible that the document 14th of the 9th 21 may have been authored by a ratepayer other than me and have nothing to do with me or have any place in the council's letter dated the 25th of February 2022. If such is the situation, why has the council done this to me? The council all fed an email dated the 7th of October 2021 to me, where the email is addressed to dear Mr. and Mrs. Berman. If so, why, and does the council have problems identifying communications authored by me? My right to information internal review request was 29th of October and delivery was signed for by the council on the 2nd of November 2021. A right to information internal review request required to be completed within a certain number of working days. On what date did the council respond to my right to information internal review request date? 29th of October 2021. And was the council response within any number of working days required for right to the information internal review requests? Question 2. I require the council to provide copies of all evidence, information, documents, notes and everything else that evidences, in italics, accuse the council of doing things which it has not done and have made repeated complaints and attacks on council and council staff which have been factually rebutted. I accuse the council of doing things which it has not done and have made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which has been factually rebutted. By letter dated the 3rd of December 2021, the council stated, to paraphrase your letter, you have asked the council to determine whether contentions raised in the earlier letters are supported by facts. My response is that these contentions were intended to be and are expressions of opinion. I do not consider opinions are facts or evidence. What are the precise dates of any communication authored by Tony Downey which evidence I accuse the council of doing things which it has not done? What is the precise and exact language and words in each document that evidences I accuse the council of doing things which it has not done? What are the precise dates of any communications authored by Tony Downey which evidence I have made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which have been factually rebutted? What is the precise and exact language and words in each document and evidence that Tony Downey has made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which have been factually rebutted? Exactly what has been factually rebutted, and what were the dates and documents containing factual rebuttal? The next two questions are from Leo and Faye Furman. Emails from council on 21st of September 2021 to us unequivocally state what is occurring is repeated denigration and blaming. It does not state in the council's opinion what is occurring is repeated denigration and blaming. We reject we have engaged in repeated denigration and blaming. We have required the council to provide copies of all evidence, information, documents, notes, and anything else that evidence attacks on the council and council staff and repeated denigration and blaming of the council by Leo Berman and Faye Berman. By letter dated 3rd of December 2021, the council stated, to paraphrase your letter, you have asked us, the council, to determine whether conditions raised in the earlier letters are supported by facts. My response is that these contentions were intended to be and are expressions of opinions. We do not consider opinions are fact or evidence. Our question on 21st of February 2022 asked, what are the date and type of all correspondence the council received from Mr. and Mrs. Berman, and what are the precise words used in each correspondence which accuse the council of doing things which it has not done, and what are the dates and types of all correspondence the council received from Mr. and Mrs. Berman, and what are the precise words used in each correspondence which are repeated denigration and blaming. The council letter dated 25th of February 2022 states the following documents are identified in response to our question. I'm reading the right one, hold on. Response to our question on 21st of February 2022, 14th of the 9th 21, email 15th of September and 10th of July 2021, 3-page letter. It appears possible the documents dated 15th of September and 10th of July 2021 may have been authored by a ratepayer other than us and nothing to do with us or have any place in the council's letter dated 25th of February 2022. If such is the situation, why has the council done this to us? It appears the council may have authored an email dated 7th of October 2021 to another ratepayer where this email is addressed to Dear Mr. and Mrs. Bellman. If so, why and does the council have problems identifying communications authored by us? Our right to information internal review request was dated 3rd of February 2022 and was delivered signed for by the council on the 4th of February 2022. Our right to information internal review request required to complete within a certain number of working days. On what date did the council respond to our right to information internal review request dated the 3rd of February 2022? And was the council's response within any number of working days required for right to information internal review requests? Now the second question is, sorry, I need to get a drink. We required the council to provide copies of all evidence, information, documents, notes and anything else that evidences we accuse the council of doing things which it has not done, and have made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which have been factually rebutted. We accuse the council of doing things which it has not done and have made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which has been factually rebutted. By a letter dated the 3rd of December 2021, the council stated, to paraphrase your letter, you have asked us, the council, to determine whether contentions raised in the earlier letters are supported by facts. My response is that these contentions were intended to be and are expressions of opinion. We do not consider opinions are facts or evidence. What are the precise dates of any communications authored by Leo Berman and Faye Berman which evidence we accuse the council of doing things which it has not done? What is the precise exact language words in each document that evidence the Leo Berman and Faye Berman accuse the council of doing things which it has not done? What are the precise dates of any communications authored by Leo Berman and Faye Berman which evidence we have made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which have been factually rebutted? What is the precise exact language words in each document that evidence Leo Berman and Faye Berman having made repeated complaints and attacks on the council and council staff which have been factually rebutted? Exactly what has been factually rebutted and what were the dates and documents containing factual rebuttal? We are responding to those four questions with one response. And so the Mayor responds as follows. I turn to the questions from Mr. and Mrs. Billman and Mr. Tony Downey. Questions like this have been directed at the council and the general manager at previous meetings and answered as recently as the February meeting. The questions for today's March meeting contain the same material going over the same topics. The questions are ongoing reaction or sensitivity to comments that were expressed in correspondence last year. Any attempt to answer them further would be unproductive. To attempt to answer further would amount to another entry into what has become a prolonged debate about the rights and wrongs of words used in correspondence. The Mayor said, I do not consider that any further advice on these issues is required. In relation to RTI requests, I advise that these have been addressed and materials and such as there is has been shared. There has been over some 12 months now repeated questioning on the Leith overpass topics. For some time now, since the state government's proposal was abandoned, it is likely that there is no community interest or benefit in receiving questions on these topics. The issues are well known and the differences about what has happened in the past are not going to be solved by any further questions being received. Accordingly, the Leith overpass related issues are now regarded as closed. The next two questions are from Janine Lillis from Penguin. The first one being, are the rules for fencing and access to the beaches at Watcombe, Preservation Bay and Midway Beach going to be the same? At the moment, the plans look like there are variations and there doesn't seem to be any explanation why. So the response is that there are currently variations on fencing heights shown on plans based on previous negotiations with Tasrail. From the public meeting held last Wednesday, the council undertook to review the fence heights with Tasrail and further communication will be provided on the final heights approved by Tasrail. Question 2, can the Central Coast Council get a tree specialist to look at the few remaining trees on Watcombe Beach, the Boobiala and the Pahakawas, to see if they will survive with the metres of beach sand that go up their trunk. As the only remnant of living feature remaining on the beach, it is important that we do something to rectify them as it's home to many parrots and bird life. The response is that these trees are currently being checked to ensure that the material used on the surrounds are conducive to the tree's survival. So we started looking at that last week.
Thank you very much for that question. Now, do we have any questions from the floor? Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our open part of the meeting. And thank you very much for coming along today. It's nice to have, as I said, people in our gallery for the first time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.